Live like golden, yeah, we're golden, baby girl, we're golden. They're about to see us shine, cause we're golden.
What is up, guys? I'm Xavii, but you can call me Xavii, and today we're going to be continuing our series on my guide on how to play solo. In this episode, we are going to be looking in depth on stats, engrams, and settings for the game, e.g. graphic settings, and also advanced settings and keybinds. I just want to start off by saying that this is by no means the perfect build. Obviously this varies for everyone, and this is just what I think is the best. And also, especially in terms of the graphic settings, my computer is not that high end. You can find my PC specs in the description in my channel about section, and it's not that high end. So please don't take this the wrong way and think that this is the best for everybody, because it's not going to be. Now, to start off this episode, we are going to be looking at stats. Now, before I say anything, stats and XP are incredibly important. One, because at level 100 you get access to heavy turrets, which is crucial for base defense. And for early game methods of leveling, I would just simply go to the island and do the XP run, because you can get to level 70 in about half an hour if you're on ×2, and if you're on small shove, then it's ×3, which is incredibly useful. Also, if you can take advantage of ×2 at any point, do it, because it will help you so much in the long run. If you are around the level 80 area and you want to grind to get the heavy turrets at level 100, another method I would use is getting on a grinder, getting loads and loads of stone or wood, and sitting on a toilet and converting it onto thatch. When I did it when I was level 90-ish and trying to get to 100, I think I was 91, it took me around 12 hours of non-stop doing it on and off to get to level 100, so it's a very, very enduring task. Alright, so on this character I'm level 105, and these are the stats I have. Health, I usually go for 300. I think this is a good all-round number, and that's all I would personally use in health. It depends what kind of build you want to go to, and especially as solo, you often need the points for other stuff down the line, which we'll come to in a minute. Stamina, this is a tricky one. Now, I go for 150 personally, and I've seen other people go for 200, 250, or maybe even 300 stamina. But the problem I have with that is, yeah, you can run more, but also, the fact that you take more food and water consumption when we're not even putting any points into food and water, and oxygen as well, purely because they don't really serve any importance. But with stamina, you take way more food and water consumption if you start running more, and that fairy's going to aggro on me, innit? And I just don't think that stamina is that important. Okay, so moving on to weight. Now, this is a very controversial thing, and I personally go with 400, especially because as solo, you've got to be moving stuff around a lot and carrying lots of stuff on you because you don't have any tribe mates to help. But especially in PvP, 400 weight is, if you kill someone, especially useful because you can carry away their items, and it's just all around 400 weight is where I would go. Some people do go with 300, and 300 is a great starting out weight if you can get to that early game, around level 60 to 80 I would say for that, but 400 is what I would stick with. Melee damage, I personally don't touch because I don't have the points for it, I would say, and there's points that you can spend more efficiently other places, such as weight or movement speed. And melee, it can be useful, I will give you that, because you are going to be mining stuff and mining nodes, and if you can get more stuff per node, then that's great as well. However, you are likely to be using tames to mine stuff, for example an Anki with let's say metal, an anglerfish with pearls, and you can just upgrade their melee damage and get even more, so I don't see the purpose of melee for that. Melee does actually do more torpor, so if you have 150 melee, then it will knock out someone quicker, say with a club, than if you had 100, which is useful, and it does also obviously do more damage, but I wouldn't touch melee for my personal preference. Okay, for movement speed, I have 158 here, but I usually go for around 150 to 160, purely because that's the speed of most semi-decent dinosaurs, so you can mostly outrun any of the dinosaurs that, especially wilds, that come after you. Maybe not flyers, obviously, but that's pretty much a given. You have to be like at least 300 movement speed to be able to outrun those. But this is what I would personally go with. You could maybe subtract, take some points of weight and put it in movement speed, but I don't think it would make that much difference. Now, crafting speed is an unusual one, because while I don't put points into it myself, I have mind wiped and made a high crafting skill character, just so you can craft good stuff, like to say blueprint. If you're going to craft lots of stuff with one blueprint in a limited time, you can get another character which has all their points in crafting skill and use that. Also for custom recipes like notes, if you have a higher crafting skill character, you would get a better note. So what I would do is either make a new character and use that to craft something good, or mind wipe, change your stats to auto crafting skill and then mind wipe back. Especially with the new S Plus update, they've changed it so instead of one new level you get mind wipe, every 24 hours you get one, which is very useful. I should also mention, if you manage to screw up or you want to change any of your stats, a mind wipe tonic will be very useful. Now on to Fortitude, which is probably the most controversial of my builds. But if you're solo, you're going to have stuff in unusual places, at least that's how I would do it. So you might want to have Fortitude so you can live longer in different places. For example, like the Arctic, the snow, or maybe the desert, or maybe the volcano area. And with Fortitude, you take less torpor, so that could be useful when clubbing people out early game, and also for escaping stuff like scorpions, troodons, titan boas, all of that stuff. So yeah, that's what I would go with in terms of Fortitude. Now, moving on to Engrams. This is one of the most lengthy parts of the video because I'm going to be going through it with you and learning all the stuff that I would want to have. First off, we're going to have heavy turrets, obviously, because they're such a good thing to have. Rocket turret, you could have these, but I don't really see the point in them. Now, Riot. This is a very controversial thing because they are good, don't get me wrong, but I would say that flak is much better, especially if you get a decent blueprint, purely because it doesn't cost as much to make. As you can see, it takes polymer, hide, silica pearls, and compared to everything else where you could just take metal, that one has crystal, and I just don't see the point of having Riot. Quest platform saddle, optional. If you want to learn that, you can. Giga saddle, optional. If you can tame a Giga, then sure. Now these trank darts I'm actually going to learn because they are incredibly good and they're honestly underrated. It shocks people, it shocks animals, and it's just an all-round great. It's much better than any other trank. Most sword platform saddle, optional. Electric prod, stay away from. It's just so much to make and it's really not that useful. Minigun turret could be useful, but I wouldn't learn it personally. Riot shield, definitely learn that, because you are going to want all the shields, especially if you're wanting to soak bases. Pheromone dart. Now, I would quite like this, to be honest. You could shoot someone and then it's like basically giving them a rare flower. Indie cooker, if you can, great thing to learn. I'm going to learn that. Now, these mines, I am actually going to learn these because they are just such a good thing. Especially if you have a raft or an underwater base. These things do, I think, 15k damage, and they're just so good if you're underwater. Rocket launcher, you could do that. I'm going to learn that because obviously if you're grading, night vision goggles, PvE, stay away from. Gas mask. Now, this is useful because you can defend yourself against poison, especially against the manticore. You're going to want this if you're doing boss fights because you can get out of the torpor. And if you're on a poison wyvern, then these are definitely useful as well. But I'm not going to be doing any of that, so I'm going to leave that. Plessy, optional. Tab sniper, 100% learn that. It's just so good. All you can use is to say it is so good. It's one of the best weapons in PvP. Chem bench, obviously going to need that if you can get to it. Scuba, if you need it, and I would personally learn the flippers and the tank. That's all I would really learn. Indie forge, obviously going to need that. Combo, obviously. Metal arrows, obviously. Holoscope attachment, these are very useful, so I'm going to learn that. Quetz saddle, if you have a Quetz. Vault, obviously. Rex saddle, I'm going to learn that because it's just very handy to have. Trank spearbolt, you're going to need this if you're doing any kind of underwater tames. Elevator track, not very useful. Spino, if you want. Fairy saddle, I'm going to learn that. Turrets, obviously. Aloe saddle, if you have them. Transponder nodes, these are actually very useful. I'm going to learn that. C4, obviously. Indie grinder, as I said, you can use this for using its XP grind, but it's just, I wouldn't bother. I'll perfectly be honest. Plus your saddle if you want that. Bronto, Brontos are just not really worth it to tame, although they are the best berry gatherers in the game. PvE helmet, no. RG saddle, of course you want that. Aircons, of course. Fridges, obviously. Laser trash, metal tree platform, these are actually quite underrated, but I wouldn't learn it personally. Assault rifle, you could learn that, but you have to learn it with these, the advanced rifle bullets, which of course you've got to use that in turrets. Behemoth gate, you could learn that, but if you don't have the stuff for it, then don't. Motorboat, you could. I'm gonna learn it for this. Flak helmet, flak set, obviously you want to learn that. You want to learn it all, and we've just fucking covered up the whole page with engrams. Tappy saddle, optional. Fabricated pistol, these are incredibly good. Advanced bullet, pump action shotgun, best shotgun in the game in my opinion. Bunk bed, you don't really need it. I mean, a normal bed works just as well, although it gives half cooldown time, so it can be useful. Arthur saddle, if you have an Arthur or you want to use bases, they can destroy tech with their bite, so they are very good for raiding. I'm going to give it a miss for this. Canteen, very handy. I'm actually going to give it learn that. Metal trapdoors, optional if you want those. Spray painter, although it is cool, I don't see really the point of it. Remote keypad, could use that. I'm going to learn it. Metal dinosaur gate, going to get that because that's very important. Flashlight attachment, no. GPS, could do, but you need to learn it for other stuff such as the transponder nodes. Metal double door, honestly, with the introduction of the S Plus mod, so good, so good. Chin bowlers, no. They're just not really useful. Even if someone says they're good, just don't use it. Metal wall sign could be useful for other things. Industrial grill, gonna use that. Camera, no. Greenhouse double door, could use that. And double door frame instead of a normal door. I don't see really why you should, but if you want to, I guess you can. Flexible electrical cables, you just want to learn. Inclined electrical outlet. All of these are really good. Large metal wall, gonna learn that, but it does have 14k durability compared to the actual S Plus mod, which had 40,000. Metal fence support and metal ladder, could use those, just for any kind of builds. Ladders are very important because they can, if you put them on pillars, they won't destroy any and spam. It won't stop other like natural things from spawning, which is very important if you have if you need cover in your base. Xavii, obviously. Metal hatch frame, of course, you can if you want. I'm gonna learn it for this. These roofs and stuff I usually stay away from, but if you want to, you can. Metal ramp, I would learn that purely because it's just handy to have. Grapples, obviously. Stairs and triangle roofs, yep, I would learn those. Metal catwalk, if you want to. I mean, they don't cost any CP, so you could if you want to. Metal billboard, I would learn this because they're even though they can be written on and you can use them for that, I would just use them for spam because they are very good at like they're very big and they don't cost much. So yeah, I would use them for that. Staircase, optional, I wouldn't use it. Pillars are very good, I would use that because you can use them for turret tower designs and also for spam. Triangle foundations and the S Plus mod, all the metal buildings that you need. Diabet saddle. Diabets are actually very underrated, so you can if you want. Greenhouse window, you probably don't need that, but door frame, walls, I'm gonna learn the ceilings and stuff. Harpoon launcher, if you're doing underwater tames, then you could do that, but I don't really see the point. Donkey saddle, if you're living on boat life, and the donkey load is the best water harvester, so there's always that. Improvised explosives device, you need that for C4, so obviously going to learn that. Silencer, I would learn just because it's very handy to have. Metal water reservoir, very good for if you don't want to have to do piping like all the way across to the sea. Pipes, I would learn these just because they're very important for getting water, and they used very good. Shotgun ammo, shotgun, obviously need these. Metal shield, yep. Refertilizer, now these are actually quite good. I'm going to learn these because these are actually very underrated. Pteranodon saddle, nades, need those obviously. Chitin, you just need those for flak, so yeah. Ankylo saddle, gonna need that. Crop plots, yes, I would do that if you want to get X plants or start a greenhouse. rifle ammo, long neck scope, simple pistols, simple. All of these are just obvious ones. Ghillie leggings, ghillie set. I would learn these just because they're good to have. Toilet, you can use these for XP. Lance, stay away from. Diplodocus, nope. Bear traps are very useful. And the behemoth gateways are useful as well. Just for traps and other stuff like that. Reinforced double door frame, yep, you want those. Metal sickle, sword, I would learn these just because they are very useful early game. Shipway, narcotics traps, not really. Metal spike walls, could use those. Spear bolts, maybe. Gallimimus, if you have one, then obviously learn that. Large stone wall, yep. All these other stone buildings you don't really need to use, but if you want to, you can. Reinforced trapdoor, you could learn that. Pike, crossbows, pillars, fence support, you could learn that. Magnifying glass can be useful for checking the health of like tankers such as trikes or stegos, but I wouldn't really want to learn it unless you had to. Artifact pedestal, these do actually look quite cool, but they do cost a lot. Smoke grenade, why not? I mean, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but it just doesn't cost that much, so you might as well. Triangle foundations, yep. Fur, I would say a good learn, but it is optional. Parachutes, obviously. Tranks, nothing really more to say. Smithy, forge, metal, yep, I don't think I need to explain. Chair, I would learn, just because it doesn't cost much, and also the fact that you can go underwater and regain stamina with it is very good. Rack saddle, just optional. Bookshelf, optional. This can actually be used as a fridge on top of a hyenodon, but if you're going to use that, then you could. Left antidote, I'm going to use that, even though you can transfer servers to do that. It is quite useful because that only works for swamp fever. Feeding trough, obviously, if you've got a decent amount of tames, then sure. Preserving bin, if early game, if you want to use that, then you can. Stone pipes, you need that for metal pipes. Bug repellent is a good learn because it's good for taming arthroplurid mantises and other stuff that you need. Storage box, obviously. Hide set, yes. Large wooden wall, I'm going to learn that now. Flare gun and gunpowder, you need them for stuff down the line, but gunpowder, yes. War drums are always a good laugh. CP, obviously, just you need it. If you're gonna spike walls, obviously, because they're really good for protecting teams that you've got down. CP is just good if you want to make it, but I would personally use dams or snails for it. Stimulants are actually very underrated. They're good for learning, not learning, neutralizing torpor. Bow, stone arrow, obviously, prop plots. Rollers, obviously. Carousel saddle, could use that, but I would personally do it. Just because they're radar detection and they've got really good early game tames, obviously. Training dummy, I would use that just to test out the DPS of certain dinos. Narcs, Spyglass, Stand Torch, Beds, all stuff I would learn. Theomia saddle, if you've got a Theomia, then yep. Thatch stuff, cloth stuff, basic tools, and there you go. That's all the engrams I would do. As you can see, we've still got 1.8k left, so you can go and learn anything else you want to, but I would stick with what I've just laid out. It's always good to have some spare engram points on you in case of an emergency when you need to learn something. For example, I would learn that, some extra ones that I've missed out. Aloe saddle if you needed that. But yeah, if you have some spare left like that, just go back and learn some of the optional stuff that you like. And yeah, that's pretty much it for engrams. Now, on to settings. Now, audio, I just have it as the basic. You can turn this down if you want to, depends on your preference. Graphics, I have on just custom, and I usually have these. Water buffers, low, everything's low, apart from textures, medium, just because I want to have some level of goodness in the graphics, just so it's not that bad. And then view distance, I turn that to medium, just so you can see things and stuff in distance. This stuff I just have it on low. Motion blur and all of this stuff I just have on off, just to decrease the amount of GPU load I have on my computer. Light bloom and light shaft and quality level streaming I have on, just because more precise colours, especially with color grading, and also more light so you can see more, especially on recording, because when everything's dark, like videos just don't turn out to be that great. I haven't really touched any of this stuff in the middle here, like the subsurface scattering and all that stuff that requires the restart, just because I don't really know what it is. UI general scale, I just have that on max. Item sort scale, I have that like that, just so you can see what you have, and it doesn't really make that much difference. Camera shape scale, I have that off completely because it's just unnecessary stuff. Camera field of view, I have that on max just so you can see that as much as you can. Sensitivity, I have that there. That's all personal preference. Invert Y, nope. All this stuff is personal preference, I will be honest, apart from the camera shake and the FOV. Alright, so advanced settings, I have this on high just because it doesn't really make that much difference, and it decreases lag of your computer. Inventory access tiles, I have that on, I don't see the problem with it. Melee camera animation, I have that off just because it makes your camera shake all over the place. Blood damage overlays, I have that on, but that's completely personal to you if you're playing with a kid. And also it's good because you can see the health of dinos relatively well with blood. Floating names, I have that on, and join notifications are very important because you can see when enemies or other people are going onto the server. Chat bubbles, I have those on. Camera view bob, I need to turn that off because that is just unnecessary, and it makes your camera go up and down while running and stuff like that. First person writing, I don't see the point because you can just turn to third person anyway. Stats notifications, yes. Fahrenheit temperature, if you're American, then sure. Also chat box, I have that on. Hide server info, I need to turn that on because I'm recording and I don't want people seeing my server and going in to raid me. Torpor effect, I have that off just because it's annoying, but it can be useful, especially if you're not really the type of person to be paying attention to these things. Chatsu Steam name and tribe name, I have that on. Toggle to talk, I have that on. Crosshair hit markers item names, I have that on. But with Crosshair it is quite big, so there are a couple mods that you can use where it just replaces it with a dot. Disable menu transitions. Now, this is very important. I have this on because it means that you can get into the menus of stuff really quick without having to do the fancy transition thing where it fades in. Notable delay, I have that off. Menu music, I quite like the menu music for Ark, so I have that on. No, off, sorry. Give default survivor items, you can turn this on if you want the skins, but I just don't because it's annoying. Hide floating player names, I have that off. Quick toggle item names, I have that on. Show item selector button and then wheel sounds, I have that on. And then toggle extended HUD info, I need to turn that on because I just find it easier to just press something instead of holding it for the whole time. And that is settings and advanced settings done. Now we'll go on to keybinds. Now, on to keybinds. Now, these are very important because they can make your life a hell of a lot easier. And I also must add that I have a number pad on my keyboard, just so I can have a bunch of extra shortcuts in game. WASD, obviously. Run, I have that unassigned because I use toggle sprint on left control because that's what I'm used to. Crouch, I have that on left shift, and prone is C, just because that's honestly what I'm used to. Jump spacebar, obviously, but this does make the third abilities left shift for me, so bear that in mind, so it's not C. Fire, left mouse, iron sights, / alt fire, obviously right mouse. Look up, I don't really touch this. Reload R, use E, yep. Melee pistol whip, that can be useful, but I wouldn't use it anyway. Defecate, add, just because why not? That's actually useful if you're caged, you can eat your own poop and die. Toggle fists, I don't really use that to be honest. Selfie cam, which is third person I believe. I have that on right alt. Orbit camera / K mode, obviously K. Zoom camera in, up and down scroll. I just put one, I have like all of that like that. Drag body G, just because that's the default. Inventory I, default. Craftables V, default, I don't really use that. Access target inventory is F, because that's the default one. Trade manager L, I don't use that. Map M, just because that's the default one and it carries over to other games. Map marker, I don't have that on, but it can be useful. Toggle console, if you're a single player and such. Tab. HUD, toggle HUD is Why is that hyphen? Oh, yeah, that's why. Extended tug info, I got these two mixed up. Extended tug H, because that's just what it normally was. Push to talk B normally was that. Toggle chat box and local chat, I just have it on insert and backslash. Weapon attachment N, I don't really use that. Drop item is O because that's the default one in the game. Cross item modifier, I don't use that, I'll be honest. Emotes, left bracket and right bracket. I don't really use those, but you can if you want. Whistle selection apostrophe because that brings up the whole scroll wheel thing. Comma, I just have all move to. All aggressive, I need to assign that, but I'm not sure what to do. All follow me, I have multiply, which is on the right side of the keyboard, the number pad, on the right side of the keyboard. All stay put, so all stop. P, I use that. You follow me, subtract, which is on the keypad again. Attack my target, I use equals. All neutral, why the fuck is that not assigned? I have it on number lock. Oh god, my voice is bad. Yeah, I'm very ill, guys. I'm sorry. Attack this target, I have period. Land flat, I don't use. I need to assign that to something actually. I don't really use these, apart from donut air brake, which can be useful. Now this is very important. I have home and page up as my gamma settings, and it can be used on official servers, so it's very good. Especially if it's dark and you want to see stuff, especially when recording, because people hate it when things is dark. God damn it! Yeah, that's very important. And if you can't, unfortunately, you can't change this, but if you want to use a controller, which I wouldn't recommend doing, then it's there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright guys, that is going to be the end of this video. I hopefully will continue this series on how to play solo soon. As always, leave some ideas of what I need to do down below. Always appreciated on feedback and stuff as well. And if you enjoyed this video at any point, please be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can be notified of every upload. And yeah, that's it for this video. Sorry about my sickness. As always, it's not really something I can do much about. But thank you guys for watching. I've been Xavii. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.